Yo, what's going on guys, Trix Kamikaze here, and today we are going to be discussing my favorite nin types in HxH. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it, I greatly appreciate that, and make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more videos. And without further ado, let's get this started. Okay, so there's a total of 6 nin types, so I'm going to go from my least favorite to my best favorite. And okay, for my least favorite nin type, I'm going to go with Manipulation. And I'm choosing Manipulation for multiple reasons. One, because it's very simple. Almost all manipulators have the same power, which is manipulating people, so it's not even that unique. And there's only so many ways you can actually utilize that technique because there's so many people that can use the same thing. If we're being honest, I would actually compare manipulators to people that basically make nin bullets. And what I mean by that is that a lot of manipulators are going to have like the same type of ability. It's all going to come down to manipulation, and there's only so many ways that you can actually utilize that in a unique way. Of course, people like Kalito and Illumi both have like unique ways of doing it, right? But they're trained assassins. They're not your usual people that have nin. There's also a lot of people that are now on the same level as them when it comes to manipulation. Like Illumi is probably the best manipulator we've seen in the series so far, but Illumi is definitely second. But I'm not just gonna sit here and say manipulators are bad because that would be far from the truth. Because if you actually are able to manipulate someone, you could actually be one of the strongest people in HxH. For the longest time, Illumi himself controlled Killer without Killer even realizing, so that actually shows the power of manipulation. And let me give you a hypothetical scenario of where manipulations would be very OP. Okay, so Illumi's whole goal in HxH was to always control Killer, but now it's to control Alluka. So imagine if he was actually able to control Alluka with that much power she has. Alluka could very well be the most powerful person in HxH. And someone like Illumi controlling that power and controlling her just shows how powerful manipulators can actually be. But I'm gonna say it again, it is my least favorite because there's so many limitations to it, and about almost everybody has the same type of nin ability but in a slightly different way. Okay, so next up for number 5 I have Emitters. Now in general, right, I will say manipulators would be more useful than emitters, but I feel like emitters are actually underrated in HxH. The only really strong emitter types we've seen in HxH are Knuckles, Franklin, and Razor. So we haven't exactly seen the strongest people, but they're good enough where I'm able to put them at number 5. And I'm gonna compare them with manipulators again. Like I said, with manipulators, it's kind of easy to predict what they're gonna do because all manipulators are practically the same. Like, you're just going for the most basic thing, which is controlling them, and there's only so many ways you can do that. While with a mission, it's not that simple. It's just a ranged attack. You can do anything with those ranged attacks. There's like no simple thing that you're trying to accomplish with a mission. Like for example with Knuckles, let's say you just want to have some like Dragon Ball Z keep type of stuff you could do with a mission, or you could do with Knuckles, then basically create a way to take away your person's nin for a limited amount of time. And Knuckles really showed the way of how to utilize a mission, like the best way you could do it in HxH, like in my opinion. And my next example is Razor, because he showed us just how powerful emitters can be if you limit the ability in a certain way, which you could say for any type of ability, but we got it for a mission, so I'm gonna focus on that for now. But yeah, he was actually able to showcase one of like the full powers of a mission that we haven't really seen from anybody else, like in terms of raw power. And that's mostly because he was limited to a dodgeball game, which if you put limits to your nin ability, it's going to become stronger. And for my last example, I'm actually going to bring up Melody. Melody is actually a great example of an emitter because her ability can actually work on hundreds if not thousands of people at the same time. Melody can basically distract people for up to 3 minutes with her nin ability, and it can actually heal fatigue and actually heal you in a certain way, so it's actually a great ability. And to me, if you have an ability that can affect thousands of people at once and it's actually a great ability, I think that showcased the power of a mission very well. Okay, next up I have is Conjuration. So Conjuration is actually like a hit or miss depending on how you use it, but for the most part it's definitely a hit. What we've seen from Conjurer so far has been nothing but amazing, to be honest. Like, I'm gonna give you the strongest example, which is Karapika. Karapika, with his Conjuration ability, with the added restrictions, made him one of the most OP people to fight the spiders. Due to the restrictions of his ability, he was able to take down the physically strongest person in the Phantom Troop with relative ease. And that is a big flex because I promise you, if Karapika didn't have that ability, he would have died. He would have lost to that fight. But even besides the spiders, Karapika has a list of abilities that are actually very useful in like everyday life. He actually has an ability to heal people. He has an ability to judge people and he can actually kill them with that. He also has an ability where he can steal people's nin abilities. What I'm basically trying to say is conjurers have a vast amount of abilities they can use to help them win the fight, which is very useful in my opinion. And we've seen it from multiple people. We've seen it from Kite, we've seen it from Shizuku, we've seen it from Ginthro, we've even seen it from Kortopi. So basically what I'm trying to say is conjurers are very OP because they have a variety of things they can do. That's what makes them so powerful. That's honestly exactly what makes Corolla so powerful, because he has so many nin abilities. And okay, for number 3, I'm gonna have enhancers. Enhancers are relatively simple. You just make yourself more powered by using your nin. You're literally just making yourself all around more powerful, which is very useful in nin, because if you're gonna be a nin user, you're gonna be in fights most likely. And some of the strongest people we've seen in Hunter x Hunter are enhancers. We have Isaac Netero, we have Maha Zodiac, we have Gon, we have Yuppie. All these people are monsters because they can just kill you in almost one hit because they're so powerful. Not to mention with enhancers, right, while the simple basis is to make yourself stronger, there are multiple ways to do that, so it's not limited like manipulation. So I'm gonna give you an example. So for like a pretty high example, we have Finks, right? Basically Finks, every time he winds up his arm, he gets more and more powerful, which basically has unlimited potential because the longer he winds up his arm, the more powerful he's gonna get. Like for example, he was able to wind up his arms 15 times and he was easily able to destroy a Chimera Ant. And this Chimera Ant was basically famous in like his own way of being really resilient. So that shows the power that he's able to do with only 15 winds of his arm. That's actually very impressive, because if he gets that one hit off, you're done with. Which I could also get into Netero, Yuppie, and Gon, but there's no point, like they're just powerful. That's all I can really say about it. So next up is transmuters, which I'm going to compare them to enhancers for a second. While enhancers are very OP, transmuters are very OP as well because they're very technical. A lot of transmuters have very simple abilities, but they're very OP. Hisoka is a very great example of that. He's basically wished to turn his aura to gum, which is actually way more powerful than almost anybody would expect. It basically gives some range, it gives some elasticity, it gives some power. It's actually just a very great nin ability. Then we go on to Killua, who's actually able to turn his aura into electricity, which is very powerful because he gets very fast and strong. He actually has an Ultra Instinct Goku type ability where his body can react if something gets into a certain radius of him. That's a very simple and very powerful technique, which is why I respect transmuters so much. Not to mention some of the most powerful people in Hunter x Hunter like Silva and Zeno are also transmuters, so that definitely shows their power. Okay, so for the final one I have specialists, which who didn't see this coming? Specialists are the most overpowered people in Hunter x Hunter. You have people like Corolla, like Karapika, like Merum. You almost can't beat Merum. The only person I would say who has the potential to beat Merum at this moment is Saraynik, which he is a manga character right now, so a lot of you anime onlys wouldn't know about him, but he is insanely overpowered. And some of the strongest people out there are special because, for example, are the ants, because they have a very great learning ability. They're able to grow at an extremely fast rate, as shown by people like Merum and P2. But yeah, that's my opinion of the best nin types in Hunter x Hunter. What are your guys' opinions? Tell me about it in the comment section below and we'll discuss it. But if you guys did enjoy the video, please leave a like on it. I greatly appreciate it. That does help the algorithm out and it does help this channel to grow. So again, I greatly appreciate that. Also, if you like these videos, why don't you hit the subscribe button? I'm always going to be uploading videos at least once a week for now, and I am mostly a Hunter x Hunter channel, so if you like Hunter x Hunter, you'll most likely like this channel. But also follow me on Twitter at TrixKamikaze and follow me on Instagram at Trix_Kamikaze, and you guys have a nice day. Bye guys.